As the rain tumbles down again, Leumas joins us this week for a diatribe on modern society. Never forget. It's hard to grasp that a mere 6 months ago we were still in, well, a bit over 6 months ago now, however, still in lockdown and kept out of society if we were unvaccinated. 6 months is only how long ago it was. And the cognitive dissonance that's been experienced since then is total insanity. And Leumas and I wanted to get together for an old-fashioned rant about this stuff. I started with a poem that I released on social media called Never Forget. It's something that I was compelled to write, and I released it on Facebook and Instagram. However, for my other listeners that hadn't heard it, just reflect on that one, okay? I did make a bit of a foobar, right, because it's, the rain's tumbling down again, the never-ending rain. And we did sort of mention weather engineering and the fact that the protest in Melbourne was lined up on the same weekend. Turns out it wasn't. A bit of foobar there. However, you can't say that the weather hasn't been weird, especially for us down under. You know, it's odd, and no one can argue with that. Been watching the same system go across Australia over and over and over again in varying strengths and directions. It's strange, okay? However, look, that'll be enough out of me. I want you guys to get into this. Sometimes we need to vent. Sometimes we need to have an old-fashioned diatribe, and that's what this one is. I really appreciate Leumas' time. I look forward to working with him again in the future. Remember, on Patreon, unlocking the code, you want to send a couple of bucks our way, that'd be awesome. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, unlocking the code. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a review. That's it, guys. The thing is about all this is it's not over yet. It's just not. And yeah. Remain objective. Think critically. Use common sense. Not sure what music we're going to go with tonight. I'll have a think about that, but enjoy it. Could be something different. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Look after yourselves. Be kind. Be cool. And we'll talk soon. Cheers.
There's a poison in the structure. People suffocate. We're suffocated daily, making our own bubble. Subtle is the cuddle of the snake that squeezes. Hate to see this matrix seizes. Maybe we just need to pull the plug. Drain the system, poison out our body. You've been probably overdosing most of your life and never noticed. Overloaded, rub the cups and come and toast. And no one's open, no emotion, no engulfed in this dimension here. We work all day and it's always a thinking crystal clear. Everything we do revolves around the dollar count. It's all around us, all around. We're falling down and knocks you out. Get off the couch. It's all think out the type of flame will cost you cancer, jobs and houses all around. Got your spouses, got your house, you call the council, got no answers. Evolving out in small amounts is all we have. It's all planned out for our defeat. Water down the modern man and bottle up. So we have no intuition of a vision that it's all corrupt. I know we read our vision, if we always been forgotten. We're sick of our thoughts and living in boxes. Now let's go find all of those outreaches, forgotten the beaches to walk on the treetops tomorrow. All pieces a part of us. Go find out what's been making you tick, but didn't face it with criticism. Awaken your inner visions. Slow right down. You better leave your belongings. You'll start receiving your callings and be unleashing from bondages. Draining it out, every day is about a way to get out. Find a solution, live illusion, portrayed every day in our face. We do what they say, they use us away. Pollution can take, inducing our brains. We choose to escape, to do what they make. You wear it on your face, I can see the burden on your shoulders heavy. And it's getting unrelenting, you're fouling from how hard the world strains you. When stress is depresses, confess. It's just a system that's a hope that puts you in scenarios you never chose. It's not your fault that every known element in your life has been controlled. Everything but not your soul. So this can be some therapy, some psychedelic clarity. Don't fight between polarity. similarities, go wear it, will not go. Slide between the barricades, it's nice to be aware. Things just kinda like some kerosene, lighten up the world. It's a poisonous system, you didn't invent this prison. So who'd you be when it's all out? Everything you think needs to go now. Defeat the people that hold down you from beating you, blow out your brain cloud. Become new and escape now, take Route 86, escape now. Gotta lay down everything you learned, everything you know, everything they ever told you. Been the poison from your soul, bringing it out, draining it out. Everything is about a way to get out. Our minds are polluted, find a solution, life illusion. Portrayed evident in our face, we do they say. The uses of weight, pollution can take, inducing our brains. We choose to escape, do what they make, do what they make. People beyond. People beyond. Waking up to the people we need to be. 2004. Beat by Cumulus.
It's a shocking eruption of great electrical energy. I feel connected to all living things, to flowers, to some special spirit, and even to some great unseen living force.
Locking the code.
Welcome back, everyone. We're sitting back down with Leumas from Chant Down. How are you, mate?
Good. How you doing, Triffin?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. We've come together today for a good old-fashioned rant. It's not like there's a shortage of things to rant about. And it's another swapcast, so I really appreciate those. And I think, I've been enjoying your work lately too, man. It's been good stuff. So
Thank you. But likewise, I've heard a lot of your stuff too. You guys are going through a lot of cool books and writings. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. And it all contributes to the whole, you know. I think that's sort of what we've talked about. We want to start, because this is a good old-fashioned diatribe on modern society. And there's no shortage of things to talk about, is there, mate? However, what we're going to start with is I released a poem on Instagram and Facebook. I couldn't figure out how to do it to Twitter, but I thought I would read it for my listeners who didn't see that and for your listeners as well. It's a poem that I wrote concerning the last few years. I basically was drawn to write something, and this is what came out. It's called Never Forget.
Never forget.
As I walk around today, looking at the people I see, I can't help but wonder who, if instructed, would have hung me from a tree. I know that is harsh, don't pretend it's not true. A mere 12 months ago, on which side were you? For those who never complied, it's not easy, you see, to just go back to normal, knowing only months ago we weren't free. It's kind of ironic because we're all free now. It's because we didn't back down, and we were never going to. No way, no how. So back into the world we go, divided yet one, because we all survived with a lot of harm done. The cognitive dissonance is a sight to behold, something that can only be experienced because we didn't fold. However, the damage is done, of that you can be sure. Can someone please explain what the camps were built for? How can we ever again trust any world leader we see when their deals with the devil took away our ability to be free? The police raised their guns against the people they swore to protect, people's daughters and sons. What resistance they met. Why did we resist? For us, it was easy to see. Early on, we smelled the bullshit coming from the TV. Understand, all it took was a little critical thinking, stepping away from the fear to see the numbers weren't linking. The eye of Sauron was set upon us. What a psychological... Oh, I knew I was going to mess that up. What a psychological... It's been a long day, everyone. I'm coming straight off a class. Let me start again.
Yeah.
The eye of Sauron was set upon us. What a psychological operation we had to endure. What an evil manifestation of humanity we saw. They threw everything at us, mocked us, shamed us, locked us out of society, all because we wanted personal choice, a basic right of being free. We didn't want to participate in an experiment on people. Why did that cause hate when it should have made you question? With the catch cry, get vaccinated, and then you'll be free. Of course, don't forget, it's for your safety. We asked a simple question. Has this been tested? It's safe and effective, they said. Question it, and you'll be arrested. You can't question science, even though that's how it's done. Just get vaccinated, they cried, together as one. With each passing week, they tried to tighten the noose. Unfortunately, that meant many had no choice to choose. Despite us being locked away, the plague rats, the unclean, the virus still spread. Not so safe and effective, it seemed. At the same time, it's all coincidence, you see. People were falling down dead. It's still safe, but now you need 3. People drop dead all the time, they said, although we'd never seen it before. People seem to be being hurt, we said. You're being crazy. Now you need 4. As the cases rose and the protests grew, some things became clear, more than a few. The plague rats weren't dying. In fact, we were fine. We looked after each other as myocarditis began to climb. Now be honest with me, and I'll be honest with you. We didn't know what myocarditis was until after shot number 2. The cases rose by the hundreds, despite us being locked away. Remember, we shut the world down for 10. Still, we couldn't work, couldn't play. But why so many cases when it was safe and effective? They still tried to blame us when it was clearly defective. How could I forget about the passports? You know, papers, please. You can't go anywhere without them. And if you forget, on your knees. We also need to track you. Tell us where you've been. Give us access to your phone. We can see you through the screen. As this went on, it became obvious, very easy to see. The narrative was crumbling. We all deserved to be free. So they set the date to release us from our cages because a virus could tell the time, a first throughout the ages. We can't leave this story without the masks to protect us in confined spaces. We even forced them on children. We could no longer see our faces. Did they offer some protection? Proper PPE? Surely so. But the bedazzled ones from Marketplace, we weren't allowed to question. Can you believe now there was a time when you would be marched away in handcuffs for allowing yourself to breathe the air in public? There were standoffs. Magically now, it doesn't matter, even though the cases are still on the rise. You still see a few here and there with the fear in their eyes. So we're in a strange place where we think we are free. Emergency powers are still in place. Just take a look. You'll see. When the narrative began to fall, they distracted us with war. For those still thinking clearly, it reminded us of Orwell's 1984. They changed the meaning of our words now. How did it come to this? So many things are now wrong speak. How in 2022 do we not know what a woman is? If you can't see these things are wrong, I don't know what to tell you. Divide and conquer is an old song to make you question what is true. This poem has to end, but it isn't over. That much is definitely true. What does the future hold for our children, for me, for you? Yes, the dark is rising, and the light must rise to meet it. Inwards we must all go to question whether we have the will to beat it. For only together will we win, standing as one against it. However, it will mean letting go of all the stupid bullshit. We all know inside ourselves what is right and what is wrong. They've just been feeding us distractions for oh so very long. These things are easier said than done. That I understand. Just imagine, though, if we stood as one all across the land. What could we achieve if we let go of sex, colour and creed? Imagine the world we could build. We've always had more than we need. I know this seems like a pipe dream. That much is true. We must all realise love is the answer for the children, for me, for you. Surely it's worth trying. And I wrote that in August of this year.
Awesome, Trippin.
Yeah, where do you want to go with that? What do you want to go? What do you want to talk about? I mean, there's so many things there.
There is so much. What comes to my head right off the bat is that no matter who you were in the last 2 years, even if someone's listening to this show and they totally believe the narrative, everybody, single person on earth has been through a lot, except for maybe the people that live in like indigenous tribes out in the middle of nowhere. But the people in civilization have been through a whole lot in the last few years, whether you believed it was the virus that was the most deadliest pandemic in the world, and probably not if you're listening to this show. Otherwise, you've been oppressed against, like most of us were, and put into places in society like secondhand citizens. So we've all been through a lot, and there's no coming out of this the same. And what really bothers me is that they can come, they're acting like, oh, everything's back to normal now, but it's not. Normal. We're just ignoring it like an alcoholic ignores, or an abusive wife ignores her abuser and just goes back to normal. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah,
it feels like that to me.
It's insane. It's insane. Like, I can't help myself sometimes in my classes, Leumas, you know what I mean? Because I've been stuck in this box, man, for 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, I've kept my job, right? But I've been teaching from home for 2 years. And everyone's like, oh, it's over, it's over. If I try and apply for jobs now, where are we? October 2022, right? It's all over. One of the first questions they ask for teachers and trainers is, have you been vaccinated? Right? So it's not like, you know, and what, we're just going to ignore the fact that the all-cause mortality rate is up 17% here in Australia. 17%. That's thousands of people a week extra dying. No one's mentioning a word.
Of that unknown death.
Yeah. People just drop dead, man. Don't you know? Everyone just falls
people
dead.
do that. Athletes, they do that. You know, they run really fast and they just fall on the field. It just happens that way. Yeah.
Isn't that in four figures now? The athletes, thousands of people now. I think thousands of athletes have died.
Yep. Well,
oh man,
I follow this one fitness channel on YouTube, and then you know how the algorithms feed you more and more. I got this video one time last year, and 40 professional bodybuilders have died in the last year or so.
Yeah, right.
And they're all, and you read the comments, and I'm just shocked that they're like, oh yeah, it's the steroids. Really? Was it really just like this all the time? I don't think so.
No. So look, there's no saying that those bodybuilders didn't, you know, they enjoy Mexican supplements, mate. Let's not be, you know, they do. However, they've also, the supplementation of bodybuilders has refined itself a lot over the last few years. And once upon a time, the bodybuilders would die, but 40 all of a sudden, you know what I mean?
People that, it's anybody that's pushing themselves, you know, to that point of almost no return, whatever sport, you know, not just bodybuilding, anything, they seem to be perishing all the time now. And that never happened. You know,
every week in the news down here, there's, oh, this person died suddenly, that person died suddenly, like it's just something that happens, you know? I mean, isn't it interesting, Leumas, how me and my wife spoke the other day about this, and imagine if you're one of those people, and look, for those that made the choice, who felt coerced to make the choice, I do have compassion for you. I do. However, if I was them, I'd be concerned whether or not I'm just going to drop dead. Like,
absolutely.
Seriously. You know what I mean? Like that, I think that's part of the cognitive dissonance. If they ignore it, then it won't happen to them, you know?
Right.
But I mean, not only so, all-cause mortality's up 17%. This is the last numbers that I had. All-cause mortality's up 17%. This is a little old too, so it could be different now. Heart attacks are up 40%. I think they're attributing, you know, like we're idiots, that sudden adult death syndrome, although that did exist.
Yeah.
Not in the numbers that it does now, right?
It was very rare, very rare.
And, you know, we need to understand that I think 24 hours, within the last 48 hours, 24 hours, one of the executives for Pfizer told the European Union that they never tested the vaccine on transmission.
That's right.
So what did they test it on? Nothing, I don't think. I mean,
ferrets, and they all died.
Yeah, everybody died, right?
Yeah.
And like, how are they going to be brought to account for this? You know, how is it? I mean, I know we will never regret not taking it. We're both
Right.
perfectly fine, right?
Yeah.
However, if this all-cause mortality continues along the same path, that means what? Millions of people by the end of the year across the world extra have died, and we're not going to talk about it.
Right.
No one's going to be brought to account, right? What about the suicides,
Yeah.
man? What about the suicides across the world? What about the family businesses that shut down? What about,
Right.
what about the anxiety that all of us that chose to hold the line lived with all the time, right? I mean, like I said in the poem, Leumas, what the fuck were those camps built for, right? They were
Yeah.
built as quarantine facilities for the unvaccinated. That is it. There is nothing
It's
else,
true.
right? There was moments in time, and I know you felt the same over your way as well. There was moments in time where them knocking on doors and either jabbing us or dragging us out was an option, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here in Australia, listen to this lunacy, Leumas. We have a hardware store down here called Bunnings, okay?
Yeah. Nobody.
And oh yeah, you're married to an Aussie. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I know. Yep.
So in Queensland, during the pandemic, you could go to Bunnings, get a sausage, and get a vaccine, and get your hardware. How insane is that now? Right?
That's crazy. It's crazy to hear that this never came from health. It came from bribery and like, here, get your 6-pack of beer. They had 6 packs of beer, smokes. If you got your vaccine, donuts.
Yeah,
Like,
donuts. There was a
yeah.
lottery down here. You'd win $1 million. They ran a lottery
Wow.
down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my mates went and got his jab and thought, oh, well, I can win $1 million. He literally did that, right? Like it's hard to know where to start. And I think for all of us that we've had, it's been so hard, man.
It is.
Coupled with the fact that anyone that was still objective and has awareness seems to be on an accelerated growth timeline right now. I don't know about you, but I am, right?
Yeah.
Sort of put up or shut up time as far as, demons and trauma and stuff. But yeah, what about the anxiety, man? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I walk around and says, like I said, I walk around today looking at the people I see, wondering who would have hung me from a tree. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I go into the same stores and I go, I remember you and I'll never forget you for telling me not to wear my mask, or, I'll never, and these people are, just back to normal. I'll never forget these people. I might forgive them, but I know what they're like. Those are the future Nazis.
Exactly. There was a percentage of people, and there always will be a percentage of people that walk lockstep. And we saw who those people were.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, how can we ever trust another, like, not that we trusted politicians, those with objective awareness never really trusted politicians, but how can we even begin to even trust any world leader? How can we begin to trust any media outlet? I hesitate going to the doctor now, mate, right?
Yeah.
Any doctor that read the Pfizer documents when they came out, which was months and months ago now, right? 19 pages of side effects to stop one virus. Let's just be clear about that, right? Which it didn't stop. In fact, it probably made it worse. Any doctor that read those and has not come out publicly against them should be disbanded. You're no longer a doctor. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
They
should be persecuted for lying to the public. The media are the co-conspirators of this.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to go in on it, whether they had no choice or not. Those people should have spoke out on TV for humanity, and they didn't. They were put to the test, and they didn't do it. They didn't do what was good for humans.
Yeah, I mean, even down here, they, some down here, 1 million people turned up at Canberra, right? At the start of this year. The media report 1 million people. That's 1,000,000, right? The media said it was 10,000. Now there's a big fucking difference between 1 million and 10,000, Leumas. You know what I mean?
I'd say so. I'd say that's a little bit of an under exaggeration.
And they used LRADs on them, long range audio devices, right?
That's right.
People had blisters, man. People had blisters. People had
Rubber
headaches. They shot. I will never ever forget watching in the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne. Right now, I grew up in Victoria. Okay, that's where most of my childhood was in. Okay, I know the Shrine of Remembrance. Been there, sat there, and honoured the fallen. Not only did the police shoot people at the Shrine of Remembrance, right? And what is the Shrine of Remembrance for, Leumas? It's for people to remember the people that resisted tyranny, right?
Right. Is that what it is? I don't know the Shrine of Remembrance.
Well, it's the
but
Anzac. It's the Anzac.
Oh,
thing.
okay.
It's the World War II. It's World War One. Like it's a big shrine. And what people need to understand as well is that the protesters didn't choose to go there. The police used tactics like basically rounding up sheep and pushed them to there, right? They went down side streets, pushed them, basically corralled them to the Shrine of Remembrance. And then when they'd had enough, opened fire on them.
Wow.
For what? Right? There's videos out there of police crash tackling an old lady, tasering her and pepper spraying her. For what?
You guys got it extra bad. Like, so when I talk to any Aussies or Canadians, you guys have been through even more of a war than I would say most Americans. Here in Hawaii, we were one of the worst states. I was locked out of society myself, but there was maybe a little bit less tyranny pushed towards us, but I figured it was coming. I heard rumors about
they were
building
preparing
camps.
Yeah.
There was a couple of camps that were talked about, and I was like, shit, are we really going there? Like, let's get out of here. Like, okay, we had our bug out bags, we were ready to go. Like, let's go to nature if we have to. It was getting that desperate. And
absolutely.
We now go back into society like, oh, none of that happened. It's okay. Everything's okay. It's not okay. I'm not okay with it.
I'm not okay.
You're not okay with it.
I'm not okay with it. No, I'm not.
Mm-mm.
I'm not okay, because explain to me in any other time for any other thing. Think about the social justice warrior bullshit that we have to put up with, right? We don't even know what a woman is, but a company can literally poison 3/4 of the planet. And let's explore for a second. How did they do that? How did they have 6 billion vaccines ready to go? How did they do that logistically? How did they fill them? Who filled them? Where's the factories, right? How did that happen so quickly?
Exactly. And when this thing came out, they already had the 6 feet or 2 meter stickers ready to go on the floor.
Absolutely.
Like, that would have taken a while, like, to get all that out in a real situation. So we know this was planned. I mean, would you say, and I would say this, but just asking you too,
sure.
Would you say that this whole thing was to get this substance into people's bodies, to scare people, to get this thing into their body? That was the main purpose of the entire pandemic.
Honestly, I don't see any other. Honestly, at this now, I think it was about a test of control, number one, right? How far can we push them? Right?
Sure.
But I think the end game was this poison, right? That literally does nothing now. You know what I mean? Like, no one's even pretending that it did anything. But it is literally mRNA. It is manipulating and changing your genetic sequencing, right? It doesn't matter which way you look at it, right? I don't see another other thing, Leumas. And then the question is why, right? Why? What? And again, everyone's got short memories, right? Do you remember the Freudian slip from Bill Gates? And it was his early on, 2020, I think, right? Yep. And he said something along the lines of like, I will know, within 2 years of the rollout, we'll know about the mortality rate and whether or not we've reduced something. Like, there was a Freudian slip there where he basically said, we'll understand how many people we've killed within 2 years of the rollout. Like, and there was heaps of them. I remember this old guy who was being interviewed. He said the same thing. Oh, we're not going to know the mortality rate for at least 2 years. And then the guy's, oh, you're on camera.
I remember that. Yeah.
Remember that one? Yeah. Do you remember the bodies in the streets in China? Remember that? Right?
Yeah.
Bodies in the streets.
Yeah.
Do you remember the trucks full of disinfectant in Korea, right? Just going down the streets, smashing everybody with who knows what kind of chemical, right? I mean, I'm not okay, man. You know, like I'm doing my best to move on and you know, but the thing is, man, is that like you said, we had our bug out bags. You've got no idea the conversations that me and my friends had, right? Conversations that I'm not willing to put on the record. Let me just say that. Okay?
Yeah.
About how far we might have had to have gone in order to defend our safety, our liberty, and our freedom. Right?
Right. There's definitely conversations I wouldn't even put on this my podcast too, that
No.
I had to kind of hold my tongue. Like, well, okay, I want to keep my podcast for now.
Yeah.
You know, but certainly I had those conversations too. You know, it was really taken to that level. That the threat level was very close to that.
Yeah, man. Well, this is the thing, and down here, and look, if you look on this has all been debunked by corporate media, as if you can trust anything that comes out of any media outlet at all anymore, right? Unless it's an independent outlet, unless it's a podcasting outlet or, you know, very independent media. There's no way that any of the it's not mainstream, it's corporate media. Any of the corporate media, I don't trust a word that comes out of their mouth. None.
Yeah, you can't.
And why would you? Right? So down here, they actually rounded up an Indigenous community, surrounded the village or surrounded the tribe or community, and force vaccinated them. Right?
And this is supposed to be the media's acting like they're on the side of all the minority cultures that, you know, we're so not racist and you know, we're trying to protect. I mean, they put out this image like that, but here they are, we're trying to vaccinate one of the most destroyed cultures in the world.
Absolutely. One of the oldest cultures in the world that you look
decimated.
It's been decimated, and you can't it's hard not to draw the conclusion that it is an ongoing genocide.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you look into it and how they've been treated and all that sort of stuff, right? It's hard not to say that, right?
Yeah.
But again, that was a test, wasn't it? Can we surround us somewhere and force vaccinate people? Don't forget, in Sydney, in Redfern, there was choppers in the air. There was fenced off parts of the community. Choppers in the air, martial law, right? That's no joke.
That's an Indigenous community too in Redfern,
yeah,
right?
Mostly, yeah.
Mostly,
It's definitely, Redfern. Yep. People from Australia will know what Redfern is, and there is a lot of Indigenous.
I know what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there was fenced off areas, police roaming the streets, armed, helicopters yelling from megaphones, right?
Yeah.
You know, I remember I went for a ride because we got told down here we couldn't go more than 10 kilometers from our house. And it's on my Instagram somewhere. I took a photo. Like I had Strava out, which is like my recording app for how far I go, right?
Yeah.
And I measured it to 10 Ks. And I remember taking a photo of my mountain bike wheel. It's like if I pass this line, I break the law. Now I'm in the middle of the bush, man, on a dirt track, right?
They said that to you.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, that's what they said. You can't go more than 10 Ks, right? No one could to stop the spread, to reduce, flatten the curve, man. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah.
2 weeks. People have such a bad memory in this fast moving media. They forget, like, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq has no meaning to anybody anymore. Yet they forgot that was a big lie. So now we're talking about 2 weeks to slow the spread. We're talking about things that, and they've just moved on. And people have shown me extreme mental illness here. Okay, I just went traveling, so I was.
I was going to ask, how was your trip? Did you get any bullshit, any passport or COVID stuff, anything while you're out?
No. We've done a lot of research on. Yeah, it's all gone. We've done a lot of research on every place we go because we don't want to deal with it. Of course, this is the most I've traveled in 1 year. I went to Egypt earlier in the year, and we went there purposely because they didn't care about vaccines.
Yeah, they did. So they were the first.
Yeah, they were good. So, and then now that it's all gone, I got to see all these places. And when I went to London, this is my first time in London, I was shocked on how far agendas have been pushed from COVID. So you got the mask wearing idiots, the people that are just completely have taken 15 boosters and they're just completely afraid of everything. But most of people are, you could say, back to normal, but not really, because so I went around to try to get a bottle of water. I was thirsty. I went into multiple places because I don't want to use my credit card. Every time I buy something, I get a surcharge from my bank because it's international. So I took cash out. I couldn't find hardly anywhere that took cash. I kept going into places. No, we don't take cash. I'm like, why don't you take cash? Oh, because since COVID, we stopped taking cash. So see, all these other agendas were put in
absolutely
because of that.
Yep.
You know, so it was an excuse to roll this cashless thing out. And I'm seeing it all the time. I went on an airline. This is what they said. They said, we now have a touchless pay method. So you don't have to a touchless pay method for your safety. It was for our safety. Really?
What's for your safety? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I feel better now. Thanks.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's those really, words, man, those words, it's for your safety, right?
Yeah.
Don't forget I think they're safe and effective for your safety. Mein Kampf starts with say something about safety, right? This is for your safety or something. At the start of Mein Kampf. I mean, the other thing about planes, man, like how many pilots have dropped dead, right?
That's right.
There's been multiple pilots or multiple times where a plane has had to turn around due to technical difficulty. Yeah, the technical difficulty is the pilot dropped dead in the seat, right? You know what I mean? And
that's hundreds. That was in the back of my mind every time we hit turbulence everywhere. I'm like, I know turbulence isn't going to bring the plane down necessarily, but just I was thinking like,
how's the pilot? Yeah.
How many boosters?
How many boosters is he into? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hope they have a autopilot because I'm scared.
But I mean, and this is the thing, right? I mean, there's so many levels. The digital currency being pushed, the so-called credit score. I mean, let's not talk about. You got to talk about the passports, man. The QR codes, right?
Yes.
Let us track you. We can see you through the phone. Like that was real stuff, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just became unmanageable, right? But the framework is there, right? I think they said, I can't remember the numbers now, but it was some ridiculous amount of millions of dollars for the COVID tracking app that everyone, all the sheeple downloaded. And I think it found 100 cases or something, right? For $27 million or some ridiculous number, The numbers are irrelevant because it was just unbelievable, but the framework is there. Right? How many people have still got that app on their phone? How many people are still being tracked by that app? Let's be honest, and
how many people's DNA that got taken from all that nose raping, and sold to China and whatever the hell they're doing with it.
Absolutely. Well, I said that to a friend of mine because he's like, "Oh, I got to get tested." This was in the peak. I mean, I never changed my opinion. First few months, I'll be honest, I did react with a bit of fear, but we didn't know what it was.
Sure.
But as soon as it became pretty clear, I was never going to back down, right? And I said to a friend of mine, he said, "I got to get tested." He goes, "Oh, the test's pretty bad. They touch your brain almost, it feels like." And I said, "Yeah, but you can catch it off a surface. So you can catch it by a single particle in the air, but they've got to shove something into your brain, it feels like, to test you." I said, "Does that make sense to you, man?"
And then use a test that doesn't test for a virus.
And use a PCR test that was never designed for that, right?
Yeah.
And the rat tests. I mean, do you remember you talk about stuff. There was that African country, and I think it was the prime minister of an African country did PCR tests on a grapefruit, a can of Coke, a goat.
Tanzania. Yeah,
Tanzania, that's right. And all of them tested positive for COVID, man. I mean, again, people have short memories, right?
And he's like, "Fuck your test, fuck the WHO, you can get out of here."
Yeah.
Then he dies of a heart attack.
Yeah,
seriously.
He dies of a heart attack. Like the Japanese prime minister that said he'd give his people ivermectin. All of a sudden, he just dies, man. These people just die. Like, it's crazy. Everyone just drops dead, Leumas, man. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And he was mocking them. He was doing push-ups on the stage and saying, "We got Jesus. We don't need your your tests or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of funny. I mean, it's funny that I loved his boldness to bold attitude. But yeah, that's what happens when you actually stand up like that.
And look, we can't, we could rant about we've got to mention monkeypox, man. I mean, look, I love the internet, and I think the internet did monkeypox. That was so funny. The monkeypox memes are so funny. Like, no sex with monkeys for 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
That's why I don't think they can even pull another one of these things off.
Because
they
can't. Because
at this point, people are just like, okay, maybe the COVID COVIDiots, maybe they'll fall for it, but everybody else is like, okay, we got enough fear fatigue from virus now. Let's get back to normal. Most people just wanted that, but it's far from normal.
It's far from normal. Oh, surprise too, Leumas. You'll be surprised to know, and this is just by chance, that over the last 3 months there's been hacking on digital networks of Australia. So we had to rush through a bill for digital ID and more secure networks. It's for your safety.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. We're discussing a digital currency that we will control. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's always been a good idea, because government can handle things, right?
Yeah, we want everything tracked and traced, and that way it's safe.
But I mean, where are we at? But because the thing is, right, I don't see them anymore. I used to follow the WF and WHO and that sort of stuff, and the amount of mocking that the internet is giving those posts now, like there's thousands and thousands of comments, like, unbelievable, no one's paying attention to them, but they're still pulling the strings, right? Sure. There's still these things that are taking place. There's still these things that are happening. And the cognitive dissonance that we're both talking about, that we see in average people, right, is we're still sleepwalking our way into tyranny, Leumas, right?
We are.
And, I don't know. My issue's been the whole time when I realized that this wasn't going to be enough to wake up the rest of the sheep, right? The contrast. It helped. Absolutely. I'm not saying it didn't help. It did help. Yeah. Absolutely. A lot of people have a lot more awareness now. Unfortunately, it took some of them to be poisoned before they did that. However, they've got a lot more awareness now, and that's a very good thing. All right. And more and more people are waking up every day, especially as this narrative falls apart. Okay.
Yeah.
However, the contrast we're going to need in order to wake everybody else up, to shock them into action, I'm worried about that. Like, what is that going to be? How bad or how catastrophic is that going to have to be in order to do that?
Well, there's a ex-KGB agent who spoke in America in the 80s. His name was Yuri Bezmenov. Maybe you've heard of him. He talks about how these people are so full of propaganda that they don't realize what's happening to them until the boot is stepping on their neck.
Yeah.
And then it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
So when you try to explain the truth of this world to someone who has never considered it, it seems preposterous to them.
People, it does.
It does. It seems so far from their reality. A good example, I was trying to explain what's happening with climate change to someone and how it's really weather modification and chemtrails that's causing it. Yep. But I'm like, wait a minute, no, I can't just go and say that. I have to go baby steps with them and descale. And because I have an extremist view to them, so I have to really step back. How do I say this? Yeah. Let's see. It's because it's crazy that most of the info that we see only actually takes 5 to 10 minutes of open-minded consideration for someone to understand.
Thinking.
Their reality, but these people's reality is so far from the truth that so I have to continue to I don't know, refine my approach to these people to get them to see this picture. I guess that's one of my missions in life, but still it's like, wow, how do you explain this to people? Because they're just living in such a different reality. They've let someone else tell them what reality is. So,
that's right. I mean, and you're totally right. I was on the fence about weather modification and chemtrails and stuff like that. Like I'm an open-minded guy, and I knew that for an X amount of dollars you could pay to get it to rain in the desert. You know, the sheiks do that. You know, when they have their weddings, they pay for it to rain.
Okay.
And I knew that was the case because I knew some boys over there that had seen it. It's like, okay, weather modification. Then this year, right? I mean, and my background is emergency response, right? So I spent a lot of time in the tropics, in Darwin, in the Northern Territory, in Papua New Guinea, all up near the equator. So part of my task and part of my job in multiple positions that I had was to monitor cyclones, track them, right? Monitor weather systems, see what they're doing. Since March this year, I have seriously watched the same weather system sweep across Australia. I think we're up to number 6 or 7. It's the same weather system. Big long cloud sweeps across Western Australia, right? Smashes northern New South Wales, southeast Queensland. Oh, it's now in Victoria, Leumas. Victoria and Australia is being flooded, and that's terrible. I sincerely feel for them. However, guess what was planned for this weekend, Leumas? It has been planned for a few months now. Protests.
Aha.
And all of a sudden it's flooding in Victoria. When a once in 100-year flood, we don't know how has this happened. It's an amazing, it's such an unfortunate event, right? So northern New South Wales, which is probably where the key resistance groups would have come from in Australia, right? Has been flooded and flooded and flooded and flooded. That is a natural disaster zone of epic proportions right now. And not a single newscaster's down there. There's no appeals. There's no raising money. There's nothing, right? There's an entire swath of northern New South Wales that has been flooded 4 or 5 times this year. And, you know, for the Australian listeners, they'd know about Cyclone Tracy, right, which was one of the biggest cyclones we ever had in Australia. It destroyed Darwin in 1975.
Okay.
The damage is worse in northern New South Wales now. Not a single camera crew will go near it. No one will approach it. Explain that to me.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right. And how is it 2 days? And again, these protests to stop Dictator Dan down in Victoria. People have been traveling from all over Australia to go to these protests. The planning has been it's been in the works for months in resistance groups and all that sort of stuff, right? And then the very weekend that it happens, there's a flood event in Victoria.
Yep. It's definitely happening like that.
It is, man. I don't know. And the thing is, Leumas, that's crazy, right? That's a crazy thing to say, the fact that they planned a weather event to interrupt the protests, the freedom protests in Victoria. And if you had said that to me in 2019, I'd be like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, look, I'm as conspiracy minded as the next guy, but that's a little crazy, yeah?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
They have the powers of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I thought about too, though, Leumas, give me a second. Especially with this weather modification stuff, they have no idea what they're fucking with. Right. And Mother Earth has her own checks and balances, right? Yeah. They keep messing with the weather, and they keep seeding clouds and sending all this stuff up into the atmosphere. Mother Nature will correct herself. Do you think she cares about us? She actually probably wants to get rid of us, to be honest. We're
not virus at this point. Yeah.
Surface, right?
Yeah.
You know, I love the old Matrix, you know, the human race is a virus. You move to one place and you suck it dry and then you move on. What's that? It was 1999 or whatever it was when they came out.
It's a documentary, not a movie.
Exactly. Yeah. The Matrix was a documentary. Yeah. It's scary, man. But the problem is there's so much. And then you've got the disinformation that's being fed to the resistance groups. And you've got the what is real, what is not real. It's hard to decipher.
Sure.
And that's all part of it too, I reckon. Just don't tell them everything and nothing at the same time, you know? I mean,
that's a big one, especially chemtrails and weather modification. There is, I think, a lot of disinfo, and a lot of the people that have spearheaded, I've actually known a couple of people. I know one guy, he's not alive anymore, filmmaker.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was friends with him.
Did he crash into a tree in the middle of nowhere? Like, was it one of those things, or?
No, it was weird. He was a pretty straight edge looking guy, and his name was Michael Murphy. For those of you listening, some of you know, he made the two movies. What in the world are they spraying, and why in the world are they spraying? And
I was going to say I know that name. Yeah,
yeah, you probably do.
Mm.
And he got addicted to drugs. He got addicted to
all of a
street
sudden,
drugs like crack.
all of a sudden,
Yeah. I think they found his weakness because he just got worse and worse and worse. And okay, I don't know for certain, but it just seems like he was taken down.
Mhm.
There's another guy, Matt Landman, who has made the movie Frankenskies, and he's done a few chemtrail conferences, and he got attacked pretty hard, I believe.
Mm.
I don't know his full story on that, but I think he was able to possibly stop Bill Gates' plans for in the same town for doing some kind of experiment. So
Mhm.
yeah, they attacked him pretty hard. So there's a lot of disinfo in that,
Mm.
but there's probably a lot of disinfo in every single thing you can go down the rabbit hole with
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
conspiracy movement.
Absolutely. I think it's put there on purpose to discredit whatever truth is in there, and the problem is, mate, is you got to take that into account. You
do.
You have to. There's no other way. You got to take that stuff into account. You got to understand that that's part of the game, but then what's true and what's not, that's the hard thing, right? I mean, yeah. I mean,
but what we can always come back to is we've been lied to, and we know that much. That the reality that they're trying to paint as normal life in quotes here is not normal. This is not a normal life.
No, it's not.
Never really was.
No.
But we've been usurped. We're usurped humanity, and that much we do know, that they are lying to us, constantly trying to keep humanity in a state of paying bills, working on the running on the treadmill, and being so busy that we don't see what the hell's going on. So we do know that. We know that, and there are details we maybe never will know, but we do know that we've been lied to and we're being deceived on the daily. And media is completely lies. So we do know that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah.
I
mean, so so I suppose, Leumas, the question still remains, and it's been my question the whole time. We were into the third year of this stuff, 2021, 22, right?
Yeah.
How do we make the majority? Because we are the majority, right? Not everyone's LGBTQ plus D fucking whatever it is, right? No one cares, okay? Honestly, most people do whatever you want, just don't hurt anyone, okay?
Right. Yeah.
We outnumber these elites or whoever these people are, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands to one.
Yeah.
Right? The illusion of power that we have given them, and it is just an illusion, right? I mean, I posted, I think there's a Rockefeller meme the other day where he's like, yeah, we will never let them know that they are equal.
That was awesome, by the way. I didn't know about that quote. I was going to bring that up on this show, and how he says drop by drop by drop.
Yeah, let me find it.
Maybe you should read that.
Yeah, let me find it.
That sums it up of how they work. They play the slow game. But
here it is. Here it is.
Yep.
We will always hide the divine truth from them, that we are all one, that he must never know. They must never know that color is an illusion. They must always believe that they are not equal. Drop by drop by drop, we will advance our goal. We will take over their lands, resources, and wealth to exercise control over them. We will trick them into accepting laws that will steal the little freedom they have. We will set up a money system that will shut them down forever, keeping them and their children in debt. Is that not what's happening right now? Right, these digital currencies. Oh, sorry, Leumas. What you said on Facebook last night was a bit offensive, mate. You can't go anywhere today. Sorry about that. Oh, and you're fined $10,000. And if you
my
don't pay it
social
off,
credit score is pretty bad now. I can't go out of the house.
No, you can't leave the house, man. That was pretty offensive what you said last night.
Yeah, I know. I deserve the low score. I'll make it up to Big Daddy government.
Yeah. Do we not see, right, what is going on here? And the problem is it's so diverse and it's so crazy. It's crazy because it's measured against what normal was. right?
Yeah.
But normal was just a heap of distractions, man.
Yeah.
That's all it was nothing
It's all
else.
it was.
Right? And all of it was an illusion. You know, the thing that sort of broke my mind, like the thing that, like I have not done much on this stuff this year because I was hard in the paint last year, especially when I witnessed the police shooting the people they swore to protect, right? That sort of wigged me out a bit, right? And I went hard in the paint for many months. And the problem, and I know you have the same issue, Leumas, the problem is if you give us a bone to research, we're not going to let go of that bone, right? We're never going to let go of it. And it's hard not to say that this has been in the works since the original Rockefeller, Rothschild, 1910, Jekyll Island, man, I think is when this actually started, right? I question World War One. I question who won World War Two, right? Yep. Realistically, okay, and why? This has been going on. This has been in play. I think old Rockefeller's 90 in the shade. I think, honestly, and I said this from 2021, I think he wants his plan enacted before he dies, right? I think he wants to see it come to fruition. And it is total totalitarian control of the planet for whatever reason, man. And then you go into the occult and there's a rabbit hole, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
mean, it actually takes you off planet possibly, because what human would want to control to this degree, and why would they be that psychopathic? There's a lot of levels to this too, because I meet some people that won't leave that three-dimensional reality, that it's just a bunch of greedy, powerful bankers and
money,
dark
power,
occultists.
blah, blah. Yep.
But someone who says that stuff, like you just quoted John D. Rockefeller, was not around to see the results. No. Or George W. Bush talking about, we will have a new world order.
Yeah.
Well, they're gone. But it was so important to them. This work was so important to them that they put everything they had into it, and to pass the torch on to the next people that are trying to do this. So the question is, why? I mean, we can go a lot of directions here, and I know our time is kind of ticking away, but why are they so obsessed in this? And I don't have an answer for that.
I don't know either, man. Look, the problem is, Leumas, I mean, we've sort of spoken about this before too, mate. We confirm, so it's been totally confirmed across multiple countries that UFOs or UAPs exist, right? So you can infer from that aliens exist, right? Yeah. No one cares. We are not alone in the universe, and no one gives a shit. You've got to question, and look, the thing is, you don't know with all the disinformation, but I think I was told the other day that apparently if you've had 4 COVID shots, it actually reduces your IQ level by 20 points. I mean, I don't know, but there seems to be a level of dissonance, cognitive dissonance, and, as you say, almost mental illness. Because, I mean, I do it when I'm teaching, sometimes just because I get bored and I stir the pot, right? And I'll make a comment about how much bullshit it was, and you can pick the resistance in the group, right? But what happens to the other people is it almost like they glaze over, man. You know what I mean? These aren't the droids you're looking for. Don't talk to me about that, right? It's almost like that religious glaze. You would have seen that, you know what I mean, where they get that thing. I've seen that in Catholic churches and stuff where everybody just looks brainwashed, right? But why? Why are we the cannon fodder or the pawns in an intergalactic war? I mean, again, in 2019, if you had told me that, I went, oh yeah, look, I can see that. UFOs exist, UAPs exist, therefore aliens exist. Chemtrails are real, sex islands real. You know what I mean? All these crazy things are real, right? And then there's the totally dark one that no one wants to talk about at all. Where the fuck did the children go?
Oh yeah, that's totally dark. And
100,000+, I don't know the number in Australia. I shouldn't start throwing numbers around, But it's X amount of
Yeah.
number in children in Australia go missing every year. And
Yeah,
it's thousands and thousands and thousands, right?
it is.
What? You know what I mean? Like, what is going on? And if we are, I just don't understand. I don't know what it will take, man. You know what I mean? I don't know what it will take. It sort of scares me a little bit about what it will take. I had a bit of a thought the other day. I think it's the quest for the power crystals, man. Right? I know that's a bit of a strange thing to say, but what's missing from all these megalithic sites, Leumas? You know, the thing that controls them, right? Whatever the thing is that activates these things on these etheric lines, these
That's
magnetic
correct.
lines. What's missing from every single one of them is whatever it is that activates them, whatever it is that makes them work and do whatever they did.
Yeah,
Is that
because I went just recently to Avesbury Hinge,
Yeah.
which is near Stonehenge.
Yeah.
And I had a quiet time where
Oh,
I was
cool.
just me.
Nice.
I was like, okay, I'm going to take the energy into this place. I'm going to put
Mm.
my hand on the rock and just really feel. I couldn't feel anything,
Mm.
but they're there. I mean, I'm surprised, right? There should be
Mhm.
something there, but maybe there is. And it just was real subtle and maybe my mind wasn't relaxed enough, but something.
No, these
did
sites are
activate
shut down,
those.
man. They're shut
They're
down.
shut down.
They're shut
Yeah.
down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a site here in Queensland that I went to, and it not only is it shut down, it basically told us to go away. It's done. Whatever it used to do, it doesn't do anymore.
Interesting.
And is it the battle for the power crystals, man? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know that sound. I think that's crazy coming out of my mouth, but did they ever find? So my theory is this, right? So the cataclysm came, the big one, 12,800 years ago, the one that reset the planet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If these people were as advanced as we think they were, they knew it was coming. Well, the Sumerians wrote about it. So many ancient cultures wrote about the cataclysm that was coming. Okay. That's the Ark story. Okay. What are you going to do? They knew it was going to hit the northern hemisphere. It was going to affect the northern hemisphere more than the southern hemisphere. You take all the power crystals and everything that activates all the sites, you shut them down like you would shut a machine down when it's not being used, right? And you hide them somewhere, or you take them somewhere to be taken care of, to be brought back when the time is right. Did they ever find them? Is that the intergalactic war that we're in? You know what I mean? Are all these different types of UAPs and UFOs? And isn't it something like 6 different types now that have been confirmed as different shapes and types? Like,
I guess the ones that have been officially confirmed, but there's
officially
thousands
confirmed.
of
There's thousands of types. But
hundreds,
I'm talking about the ones that they will say are official, right?
Sure.
Again, not that we believe anything they say. However, the ones they've confirmed, yeah.
Mm-hmm. In quotes.
Is that did they find the power crystals? Where did they leave them? Where did they put them?
That's a good question. And I wonder if it has to do with all this.
My guess is Australia, to be honest, mate.
Wow.
What? Explain the ongoing and unbelievable genocide of this Indigenous population.
Yeah. That's interesting to think about. I've never put Australia into that equation, but isn't part
out of the whole megalithic story, Leumas.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one country that no one mentions? Australia.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? There's a big Australia-sized hole in the megalithic story of the world, and it's not like you can miss Australia. It's not exactly. It's not,
well, flat earthers believe it doesn't exist.
Yeah. No, I'm not here, man. I'm a shill.
I know. I'm just talking to myself. Yeah.
I'm a corporate shill, a flat earth shill. Geez, if I was a shill, I'd have more money, mate. I'll tell you right.
Right. You'd be doing this all the time for a living. If you
that's right. Exactly. Yeah.
We're just pinching this in the little time increments we have. Just, I think that's a good indicator. People that, there are people that do this for a living, and hats off to them. But most of us can't afford to move this into our main, livelihood. So,
well, it's it's what is it, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night on a Thursday for you. You just finished work.
Yeah.
I literally just finished a class 15 minutes before we came on. Right.
Exactly.
Not even. And our time is nearly up for today because we just try and get in what we can, where we can. even, and it's just to expand the narrative or just have the conversation, or maybe just have a good old fashioned rant, which is, I think, what we did today. But I don't have the answers, man. And I think that's a little disconcerting as well, because I think it's actually more evil and more crazy and more ridiculous than either me or you, and that's saying something, man, can think of, right? But why people don't just, that people are addicted to their comfort, their distractions, yeah? And that's why people won't rise up. They won't.
It's true.
They
They'd
don't wanna
almost
lose
have to go hungry to rise up.
Yeah.
But I hate to say it, and it's the worst thing that probably is in our horizon for real, is the fallout from these vaccines.
Yeah.
And if the numbers for Deagle are correct, then and the depopulation by 2025, that could wake up a huge amount of people, but there's going to be a huge amount of people gone too.
Yep.
So, I mean, maybe that's not it. Maybe it's partially it.
Well, I mean, don't forget that, COVID's bullshit. COVID's bullshit. Invade the Ukraine. There's been a war going on in Ukraine since 2014, but let's not start that this late in the game. However, there's, if you are to believe the corporate media, which I don't, there's nuclear war threats being thrown around at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, are we totally fucking crazy? Like, is that where we're at? We're going to start World War III? You know what I mean? But if you think about how it works, depression, pandemic, war, these three things seem to go hand in hand, right? Economic collapse, war, sickness,
false flag attack.
Yeah.
Japan allowed to attack Pearl Harbor here is a good example of how America got involved in the war in the West.
Yeah. I mean,
that's all it can really take. That's all it really takes.
We are a stray missile away from World War III. Okay. And but again, these people that allowed themselves to be coerced, a lot of those people will walk lockstep, man. I mean, and what does that do? I just honestly hope the contrast is not nuclear war, because that's something we can't come back from, right? How are we even discussing this? How, but they can, right? And who the hell gave the nuclear football to bloody granddad, right? You wouldn't trust him to put the number in,
Yeah. We've never seen such a puppet before here.
No.
He's shitting his pants and eating ice cream while things are just completely falling apart.
Yeah. I saw a meme the other day where it's like, man from Washington says that people keep leading him around and making him make speeches and they don't give him any ice cream.
It's a joke. It's a movie. We're watching a movie, a script.
I mean, what about, obviously we got to wrap it up, but I wanted to ask you two political questions. What do you think about Tulsi Gabbard? I mean, I look at her and I think she's actually, as far as, she seems like a reasonable person, but she was the senator for Hawaii for a long time. So do you have a positive opinion of her, a negative opinion of her, or, as far as politicians go?
I had a positive opinion. I don't like politicians, but I had a positive opinion of her until I realized that she went to the Young Global Leaders program for the World Economic Forum. And that makes me go, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, could somebody good come out of that and didn't get brainwashed? I just don't think so.
I don't know, man. Who knows? You don't know. You
don't really know. Not everybody maybe is that important to them, but it certainly seems like that. But, she talks some good things and she doesn't seem to throw any occult symbolism up.
So. No, she doesn't. She's very practical. Like she was on the JRE a couple of days ago and I listened to that and I like her. She speaks sense to me, logical sense. I always thought that, Joe Rogan was trying to get her and Jocko Willink to run for president and vice president. And I thought that was a really good idea. But that'll never happen. You know what I mean? Because they're in the system. And the only other question I've got, and it's a loaded question, Trump. What is any of the, because we're seeing all sorts of crazy stuff down here. He's holding rallies and he's doing this and he's doing that. And I think half of it's disinformation.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I spoke to Bodie Sanders a little while ago. He lives in Colorado. And he said point blank on the podcast that most people think that the mainland America will be in a civil war soon.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
I could see that. It's more divided than I've ever seen it.
Mm.
And it's everybody's so triggered and won't listen to each side that it could very well happen, you know, but it would be weird because how would it go about, you know, because no one's got like team shirts on. So it's not going to be that simple, but chaos. Sure.
Yeah.
Lots. Yeah. You know, everybody rounding up their guns and look, we're talking about a lot of pretty horrible things, but we are in we're in the 99th hour, the whatever you call it. We're in the 11th hour. I mean, we're right there. We've been there a long time. We're in the Kali Yuga, the fifth world of the Mayans, the fourth world of the Hopis, the end of the Bible. So I mean,
it's
here.
It's all happening, man. It's this is, and you know, and this is the maybe final thought, Leumas, because I know you got to go, mate, and I need to stop talking. Okay. I've been talking since 7 o'clock this morning.
All right. I'll give the woman a foot massage and she'll be all right.
Yeah, she'll be okay. I lost my bloody train of thought, didn't I? What was I going to say? Final thought. Prophetic times. I've been saying since 2020, when I step back and analyze this, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. We are in prophetic times right now. Right? What we need to understand is that my children's children and their children will probably listen to this, Leumas. I mean, that's a little crazy to think about. However, there will be historical classes, if we don't blow each other up, analyzing what we did during this period, right? And we need to just, you know, like I said at the end of that poem, we need to realize that love is the answer, because that's the only thing they can't take. That's the only thing they can't fight against, right?
Yeah.
If we try and meet them, you can't out crazy a crazy person, Leumas. You know what I mean? So if you just, you know, obviously love is the answer, sure. What happens between now and a global civilization realizing that? Unfortunately, there goes probably some blood in the water. However, what's worth what? Right? I know you're not a dad yet, but I am.
I'm a dad.
Are you a dad? Hey, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
My kids are older though. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You got older kids. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So what about their kids? You know what I mean? So you've got kids. I've got younger kids. You know, a couple of older kids. What about them and their kids? This actually isn't about us anymore, Leumas. Right? It's about them.
Yeah.
And, you know, for the people that are listening, yeah, it's insane. However, don't give up the fight, right? You can't. We can't.
No.
As
it's
tiring
the greatest
as
work on planet Earth. It's the greatest work.
And whatever and I think the thing is too, I mean, obviously we're down different research rabbit holes. Whatever calls you to research, do that, right? I mean, I won't stop with the megalithic stuff because I think there's answers there, man. And you do as well, right? There's answers in the past that'll help us in the present to help shape our future, okay?
Yep.
And just stay true. Think critically. And love is the answer. I don't have anything else. Do you want to?
Well, I can just say that there's a spirit that's been guiding me through this work for many years now. 23 years now. I've been looking at this information in some form, and it's only come through synchronicity. I didn't go looking for it. It came to me. And when I look at it like that, I just know that my job on earth, my real job, not the thing I do for money,
Yeah.
is to get this information out. And
Mhm.
I think it's the same for you.
Mhm.
And we're not going to stop.
No.
And it does come from love. It
Mhm.
comes from love. And
Mhm.
it is, even if it's dark, we have to embrace that too, because that's part of enlightenment. Enlightenment isn't only taken in the good, it's taken in the
No.
whole picture.
There's
And so
balance, man.
I feel like us coming through in these times is we are heroes but heroes are never liked in the present time.
No.
But you're right, when we're looked at later, I mean, I don't know how far reaching we're going to be, but the people talking like this are going to be uplifted, and they're going to see that people here, we're doing this in little increments of time that we have. Just, we're not getting paid for it.
No.
We're here to give out a message, which is the greatest work in the world, to wake up humanity. And that is love, and that is real, and it's the realest thing that we can do. Yeah,
Mate, that's awesome. What I thought we would do is, I don't know if I've done this with you before. So Dr. Bodie Sanders wrote all these warrior books, The Warrior, The Warriorhood. They've helped me a lot, and they've got a bit of magic about them, right?
Right.
So what I'm going to do is I want this book here to deliver a message for us, for me, for you, for everyone who listens to this, okay, as to what we do and how we do it. All right. So I'm going to close my eyes. And listen to this.
Okay.
No weapon is sharper than the mind. Even the finest sword is inferior. And then on page 111, 111,
Ooh.
one should practice steadfast and indiscriminative virtue without demanding others to do the same in return. Just keep doing the work, man. Just keep going, everyone. Isn't that amazing?
Awesome.
Does that not just encapsulate everything we just said?
It does. It's awesome. And, I just saw 811 a little bit ago, which is 1111 somewhere. So all these numbers are lining up perfect.
Awesome, brother. Well, listen, I love sitting down with you, man. We've got to do it again soon.
Me too. We're going to hit up the moon sometime soon.
Yes, the moon.
Hit it.
We got to do
whatever else comes our way, bro. I'm happy to work with you always. It's awesome. And I'm really excited to, this work is what drives me every day. So
yeah, me too. That's why I had to make time. We had to make time.
Appreciate all the listeners out there that
absolutely
appreciate it and helps aid them on their way, whatever they're doing, listening to this when they're listening to it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to our rant. I know it's dark, but remember the poem too. Yes, the dark is rising. However, the light must rise to meet it. On you, Leumas. Thanks, man.
All right, brother.
Cheers, mate.
Take care.
Just want to go again?
Let's do it. Go again.
All right. I know you been here before. No surprises settle the score. I know the darkness deep inside. Reckless rage, poison pride. I know the anger, I know the pain, and I know the fear we do not name. And the one who comes to find me when my time is through, I know you, I know you.